Hello and welcome to NewsX World. I am Joshua Barnes. India's Operation Sindoor has met its strategic objectives, with India and Pakistan now formally agreeing to a ceasefire that takes effect immediately. The breakthrough comes after direct communication between the Directors General of Military Operations from both countries, marking a crucial step in de-escalating heightened tensions along the border. Let's listen to the Foreign Secretary of India, Vikram Misri.
Pakistan called the Director General of Military Operations of India at 15:35 hours earlier this afternoon. It was agreed between them that both sides would stop all firing and military action on land and in the air and sea with effect from 1700 hours Indian Standard Time today. Instructions have been given on both sides to give effect to this understanding. The Directors General of Military Operations will talk again on the 12th of May at 1200 hours. Thank you.
Well, as we heard, the ceasefire effective from 5 p.m. today, Indian Standard Time, and it covers land, air and sea operations. Pakistan initiated the call that led to this understanding, but sources confirm there is no plan to hold talks on other issues for now. In a Defence Ministry briefing this evening, senior officers including Commodore Raghu R. Nair, Wing Commander Vikoma Singh and Colonel Safir Qureshi shared details of the agreement. Commodore Nair confirmed that the Indian Army, Navy and Air Force have been instructed to respect the ceasefire understanding on land, sea and air. Wing Commander Singh also emphasised that India as a secular nation has not targeted any religious sites, dismissing Pakistan's accusations as completely baseless. Well, joining us to discuss the announcement, the ramifications and the future steps from this ceasefire announcement, we start with Martin Saar-Arayes, an international affairs expert who is joining us from Frankfurt. Martin, thank you ever so much for taking the time to speak with us today. This, of course, a big announcement, big news. Of course, you're joining us from Germany. What are the global ramifications of this ceasefire?
So we need to start, first of all, thank you for inviting me. We need to start with a very important fact. Donald Trump was the mediator between Pakistan and India. He did a huge effort to come to this ceasefire, and this ceasefire is being supported by major powers. For example, the G7, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and basically we have China and the US. They are not interested in any major war. China has been supporting Pakistan with weapons, with missiles, and obviously India has the support of the US. We need to remember that India and the US have been achieving a better relationship. So I think this ceasefire is a huge initiative from the Trump's administration, and I hope each party can respect the ceasefire and we can avoid a major escalation.
Yes, also joining us in this longer discussion is Major General J.K. Bansal, a defence expert. Of course, we've heard there that Indian armed forces on land, sea and in the air will be acknowledging and respecting this ceasefire that took effect at 5 p.m. Is that same confidence and sentiment, you think, there with Pakistan?
First of all, good evening. I want to clarify that India has said a stop of fire, a stoppage of fire, and this has been agreed between the two Director General Military Operation. India made its stance clear that any kind of activities of terrorists in future will be taken as war against India, and India is free to retaliate as a war condition. This is the one thing. And as a matter of fact, India has never escalated war. We destroy the the targets, that is the hideout of terrorists on 7th May, and after that it was told by President Trump also that it is tit for tat, that they did the carnage in Pahalgam, and subsequently India have also destroyed these terrorists. But despite that, Pakistan attacked our 15th city, which we failed it completely. India failed completely with our strong air defense system. And there was then we destroyed their air defense system, which is Chinese air defense system HQ-9, while India has a very strong air defense system S-400. So after that, then again, Pakistan has been doing all this. Again, they attacked and we neutralized it completely, and we damaged their most of the weapons which were coming from that side. So India never wanted any escalation. Otherwise, if India was interested in escalation, we would have taken the preemptive action to finish their or to destroy their attacking capability. So then there was a talk that Pakistan and America, they were talking that Secretary of State Marco Rubio was first talked to Shahbaz Sharif, but he was ineffective. Then he talked to General Munir, and subsequently to that, there has been the whatever they have talked to the our external affairs minister and our prime minister, and ultimately this has been agreed that okay, there will be stoppage of fire, but India is fully alert. In case of any misadventure by Pakistan, it will be a befitting reply will be given. Bounce.
Yes, absolutely. Also joining us is Major General Anuj Matta, a defence expert. I want to look at the Operation Sindoor, which we now know has been achieved according to the Indian government. Objective achieved. India says that its 7 aims following the devastating Pahalgam terror attack have now been achieved. Also building on the previous comments relating to any further terrorism activity being treated as an act of war. What do you think the next steps are now following this ceasefire, Major General? Major General Matta? If you could unmute Major General Matta.
Yeah. Now, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I was muted, and now the issue is we have to really get into the nitty-gritties of what this ceasefire is all about. As I was saying earlier, that we meaning the country, India has used all the drivers of comprehensive national power. And what we are taking a stand on is that only the kinetic part of that action, the series of actions that had been taken in response to the dastardly act in Pahalgam and in Kashmir, all other things will stand as of now. As the situation develops, things may change, but suspension, held in abeyance of Indo-Water Treaty, the visa restrictions, stoppage of trade, and many other actions that had been initiated will continue, at least for the time being. 1. 2, we'll have to really see whether this kind of ceasefire is implemented on ground. If that happens, which I hope it does, if that happens, then further sequence actions will be taken. They will have to stop, meaning the Pakistanis will have to cease all acts of terror before we can indulge in a dialogue. So anything that they have to do, there are so many issues which we have already flagged. Our response to Pahalgam was only an attack or only a strike. I will not even call it attack, only a strike on the terror camps which are being run in Pakistan. And mind you, they are not spreading terror only in India. I mean, they have footprints across the globe. So this terror, you recall, Osama bin Laden was found there. Osama bin Laden has been involved in providing the infrastructure development and the creation of the ecosystem of terror outfits in Pakistan. I don't think there is a terrorist bigger than Osama bin Laden. That me and you will agree. So, having said that, the terror camps were struck. Otherwise, if there is a war that has to break out, the strikes are not done on small terrorist camps. The strikes would be done against the airfields, the naval harbors, ports, and their logistics and communication centers. But that hasn't happened because the idea was not to initiate a war or to escalate the situation. The idea was only and only to hit the terror outfits, and in which the entire thing succeeded. You cannot think of an operation where 24 missiles get launched and all 24 hit their targets. It has happened. It was because everything, the operation was planned in a manner that there is no collateral damage at all of any kind. There is to the civil properties and also to the military establishment of Pakistan. But instead of understanding what the whole thing was, they chose to escalate, and that escalation was dealt with severely this time around by striking their air defense resources.
Yes.
And in a matter, just a moment, please. Just one more line.
No worries. Take your time.
Issue is that there was an exchange for last 2 days. There have been air violations and activities on both either side of the line of control and in the international border. But telling effect had been made to the armed forces of Pakistan, because of which things fell into place. And DGMO of Pakistan Army called up the DGMO of Indian Army at 3:35 p.m. today, and a ceasefire agreement has been reached. But the time to next 2-3 days, and beyond that, it will be decided by how the other country reacts to the entire thing. And talking, I can assure you, will take place only and only when the Indians are convinced that Pakistanis are not going to be involving themselves in any more acts of terror.
Yes, absolutely. We bring some more information to you now, and India's Colonel Safia Qureshi has slammed Pakistan's misinformation campaign, calling out what she described as completely false claims about damage to India's military assets. Speaking at a Defence Ministry briefing on Saturday, she rejected assertions that Pakistan's JF-17 fighter jets had targeted and damaged India's S-400 air defence system and BrahMos missile bases. Colonel Qureshi said that there was no damage to any of these strategic installations. She also dismissed Pakistani claims that key Indian airfields in Sirsa, Jammu, Pathankot, Bathinda, Nalia and Bhuj had been hit, calling the narrative entirely fabricated. Also, she denied allegations of damage to ammunition depots in Chandigarh and Vyas, and categorically rejected claims that the Indian Army had attacked mosques. Colonel Qureshi asserted that India is a secular nation and that its army represents the country's constitutional values. Well, Martin, I would like to come back to you if possible. I want to look at the global, of course, ramifications, but also looking at the action that we've seen in recent days. We know, following an MEA briefing yesterday, that Turkish drones were used on what seems to be reconnaissance missions. Of course, involvement from Iran, Saudi Arabia, other nations as well, in calling for de-escalation. Why, firstly, was the global response so strong on this ongoing conflict? And also, what will come from the countries that were directly involved in this conflict through arms or other means?
So we need to differentiate between formal diplomacy and geopolitics and each country's interests. In a formal diplomatic way, almost most of the countries of the world, regardless of their friendship and relation with India and Pakistan, they all agree they want de-escalation. They don't want this war to go further. All of them, they want to stop this war. But we need to also see geopolitics. China is giving Pakistan weapons, and also the US has the interest in having India as an ally, which is, it seems to be looked with my eyes by China. But I think in the near future, I don't see a huge escalation of the conflict. However, I think if Pakistan does not control its terror organizations, if these terror groups keep doing terror attacks to India, I think this can be the beginning of a very huge conflict, because India and Pakistan, they both are nuclear powers, and this can be very dangerous. So I hope the ceasefire will keep this potential war to an end, and we need to ask the international community to pressure Pakistan and everyone to keep this war, to end this war, basically.
Yes, absolutely. Major General J.K. Bansal, coming back to you, of course, as a defence expert, you have more information on the logistics of a ceasefire. Of course, it's announced effective from 1700 hours, 5 p.m. Indian Standard Time. But given the fact that there has been so much activity, how easy is it for forces who have been engaged in military activity, like what we've seen at the line of control, to all of a sudden stop? And is there likely to be any breaches of this ceasefire over the next few hours?
Look, since it has been agreed by both Director General Military Operation and the instructions are passed down below, as far as India is concerned, India's soldiers are very disciplined, our force is very disciplined, and we will follow that. And as a matter of fact, it has never been initiated by India. We are only responsible. In case Pakistan, I hope that good sense prevail on Pakistan and they adhere to this stoppage of fire. They do not misadventure for firing towards India side, either on cross-border terrorism or cross-border firing, or any missile, any drone. In case it will come, the India will reciprocate, India will retaliate, and will retaliate hard. So it is up to Pakistan Army what they choose. I hope that they will choose not to strike, because their economy is completely in shambles. They don't have any any petrol to run their vehicles. They don't have food to eat. So all these conditions will compel Pakistan Army not to adventure, not to escalate it further. So I feel and I hope that they will not do it. And in case they will do it, then they will ruin themselves, because I think that they got this $1.2 billion as a grant from this loan from IMF. That may also have been told to them that it should not be used for the war, because India made it very clear that if this loan is being given, then it will be considered that this money is given to wage the war against India. That will also go to the international. People think that if the Pakistan continue war, then it will be considered that Pakistan is using that fund, whatever has been given to them, and IMF may further put any restriction or maybe put in FATF list. So I think so that there won't be any misadventure from Pakistan side. Once.
Yes, Martin, I'd like to come back to you, because of course the issue of terrorism is one that remains a global concern. We of course have seen terrorist activities in Europe, in North America, as well as other regions across the world in recent months. Given the sort of action that India has taken against terrorism, do you think that a wider global response to Pakistan's role in global terrorism needs to be looked at if this ceasefire stays, and of course there can be more diplomatic conversations around it?
Of course, I think this ceasefire can be very fragile if the international community does not stand and pressure Pakistan to take action, because even though these terror organizations allegedly are not affiliated to their army, the fact that Pakistan is not collaborating to stop these organizations can be perceived as a threat to India. I think what India has been doing the last days by bombarding the terror infrastructure and avoiding civil casualties has been a great action. And also the action that India has been preparing its civil exercises and bellic exercises just in case it seems that India is taking this very seriously. And I think the whole global community needs to stand and to pressure to stop this. Again, this can be very fragile. I don't see a major nuclear escalation in the next months. But however, if this terror continues to take place, unfortunately, in a future, we can see two major nuclear powers into conflict, and this can be a complete disaster. So the international community needs to take this very serious.
Yes, absolutely, Martin. We are getting some news coming in now that the Prime Minister Narendra Modi of India, of course, has chaired a meeting at his residence. We will bring you more information on that when we get it. But very briefly, Major General Anuj Mathur, I'd like to come to you with your response to the potential global terrorism risk with Pakistani involvement potentially there as well.
See, this thing is, I think it is very, very clear. You see, there were so many acts which had taken place. The way the funerals were given to the terrorists, to Jaish-e-Mohammed outfit, the people, the army saluting them, they're wrapped in the national flag of Pakistan. I don't think there can be a question of any doubt of the involvement and direct involvement of the Pakistan's establishment with the terrorist. One, two. You see, there were meetings between a month and a half ago. People from the Hamas had traveled to Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, and they had taken out rallies, and those rallies were you know what kind of rallies they were. I mean, I'm sure the world media has watched it. The fact continues to remain that there is a direct involvement. And one or two more things, please allow me to say that the official stated policy in the times of General Ziaul Haq when he was the president of Pakistan, because they were convinced that they cannot defeat India in a trial by fire in conventional realms, so they had decided to adopt a low-cost option, thereby stating a policy that will bleed India by 1,000 cuts. This is a direct and very blatant use of terrorism in another sovereign nation to bleed that nation and to bring that nation, to a little bit of a halt. So that if the stated policy of the government can be a dangerously terroristic policy, so there is no need for anybody to start looking for whether they are actually involved in it or not. Now the question is whether they will now be able to control that, because what now pressure will come to Pakistan, and the pressure will come from these outfits, whatever leadership of these outfits which is left, and they are going to say that you've got 100 people killed, and now you're going in for a ceasefire. Where is our revenge? I mean, a thing like that may happen. I can foresee that. So somebody will have to take a proper action against him. They will have to shut down these nurseries. They have no choice, because the whole world now knows it. And remember, this time around, the reactions from the entire globe, including their trusted friends like China and Malaysia, were very clear that nobody is with the acts of terror. Nobody is with anyone who does a terrorist activity anywhere else, or why anywhere else within your own country also. Why should there be? See, I will tell you what hit them. The escalation, the further escalation could have actually intensified the economic and political instability in Pakistan.
Yes.
They knew it. They were very well aware. It could have, led to some unrests, some volatile regions like Balochistan and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and now Gilgit-Baltistan and all things happening there. They had started happening. So they were somewhere in the back of their mind. They knew that things may get out of hands, and that is why they have agreed to call the ceasefire, and that's why the DGMO speaks. There has been no escalation at all from the side of India. Why? Because our aim was very clear. On our sovereign turf, 26 innocent lives have been taken by asking their religion, and if they are found not to be from one particular religion, they have been eliminated. Their wives have been left so that they can go and tell these stories to the rest of the world, so that this thing keeps haunting. That was the most heinous act of any kind of terror, probably in the recent past in the whole world.
Yes, Major General Anuj Mathur, I apologise to cut you off. Of course, our thoughts continue to be with the families and loved ones of those lost in Pahalgam, the 26 lives that were lost following that terrorist attack. Thank you to Martin Sar Arayas, Major General Anuj Mathur and Major General J.K. Bansal. Of course, this incident has evolved to the point of a ceasefire between India and Pakistan. We will bring you the updates from that meeting that Modi has chaired with several of his leading members of government and infrastructure, and we'll also bring you more of the updates from the fallout of the conflict. For now, that is all we have time for. Thank you.